Hey guys, Michelle from OG Rose. I just wanted to do a quick recording on some further thoughts I had on the discussion of light. Daniel and I had a conversation which was really great on light and also darkness, artificial light, fire, and all of that as an OG Rose conversation. And I had some additional thoughts, so I wanted to record some ideas here. And basically, I was thinking about, I've been listening a little bit more into sort of the science behind light, and light is nutrition, and light impacting our circadian rhythms, and how the sunrise seems quite vital for us, for our setting our clock, our master clock in our bodies, for knowing when it is day, when it is night, when it is light, when it is dark, and how this can be disrupted by not getting exposure to the sunrise light or AM light, and also artificial light at night. And so, yeah, it made me, I guess I just heard this statement in this conversation I was listening to on the science behind it. And I think the person said something like, because we aren't exposing ourselves or putting ourselves in the conditions to receive the morning light, our bodies are completely confused and we don't know when it's light or when it's dark, something like this. And it really struck me in that moment that could have metaphysical implications, in the sense that perhaps, though he's talking about it from a physiological perspective, there could be ways in which that physiological reality, or maybe some people would contest it, but let's just say as a working theory, that he's talking about it biologically, physiologically, but it also could have implications for our metaphysical state and our spiritual state, because the body the body is not separate, and so we can't just kind of compartmentalize it as like, okay, well, the body's a bit confused with the time, but we're fine, like our head and our brain and our heart is fine, in terms of what we think, like what we think and how we behave is fine, because we can kind of control that, even though our bodies are actually a bit confused with when is it day and when is it night. So yeah, I think that there is the sense of, well, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter. It would really depend on each individual person. But the point of the matter is, there could be possibly a confusion of light and darkness, because our bodies have, even though it's maybe not very on our conscious level, we're not quite aware of it, but our bodies are not always cognizant of the fact that, oh, this is like our master clock is set in a different way. And so we don't realize it, and so then we're not always connecting it to why we feel off, right? Or maybe even anxious or having trouble falling asleep. That would be a big one that could show up in this as related to this topic. But also, darkness, I was thinking about it, the sun has its natural trajectory of light and dark, and there's kind of an implicit limitation to how much light we get and how much dark we also get as well. There's a proportion of each, right? And that seems to be necessary, actually, for the earth and the ecology to function. And what I'm curious about is that when we override that with our modernization and light, and especially using artificial light from screens, when we're looking directly at a light that is artificial light, that typically has a spectrum of blue light, versus like the purple and the reds that would be more present in like sunrise, sunset candles, fire, then we may not always be as discerning about what is actually light and what is darkness. Because to use a screen at night is not inherently evil or anything like this. However, it could potentially make us less, like I said, discerning, because we have this sort of physiological confusion going on about light and darkness. So we're not always aware of if this is something that is beneficial to us, if this is a light thing, or if this is a dark thing, if this is something that is, good, or if it's something that is actually ultimately bad for us and our, not only our bodies, but also our spirits, our psychological state. And so it was just simply that thought came to mind where, I wonder if our circadian confusion, instead of having our circadian rhythm, as it is, in a sense, established by the sun and the setting of the sun and the darkness at night, it's being set to our own intervention, I suppose, or our own often unconscious habits and engagement with artificial light. And so this may not give us as clear of a sense of what is actually light and darkness, and when those things actually occur, and what way we need to sort of engage with them. Because the other theory thought I had is that if we don't have a sort of reverence for light and dark as it's determined by the larger source of the sun and the celestial movements, then we may ultimately do a type of light and dark game in somewhere else. Like, it just gets pushed somewhere else. The engagement with darkness, if you can call it engagement, or I don't know, stillness you have to have with darkness, or habitation. What's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, just sort of being in the darkness. We push it to somewhere else. It gets pushed somewhere else instead of it being a physical reality of the sun went down and now it's dark outside. Or it's certainly darker. Perhaps on a full moon there might be quite a bit of light, but there's also the darkness that is nighttime, right? So it may get pushed into another arena of the mind, body, psyche, spirit dynamic. So somebody may be, in a sense, doing. It's like the body still needs that darkness time somehow, and it's finding it in possibly in dark things, or in concealed things, right? And that's a potential, or it's just a thought I had. I wonder if that may be occurring, because I don't think that. I think most people would admit that the time late at night, and sometimes it's the wee hours in the morning, that they're staring at an artificial light of their phone or screen or laptop. It is not, how would we rate the quality of that experience? How would we rate, how is that actually productive? Is that nutritious? Is it like, are we glad we did that? Are we not glad we did that? Like, worst case scenario, it's, I don't know, not to put it this way, because I mean, who would decide this? I guess only the person would decide this, but in a sense, it would be like, worst case scenario, there's an addictive behavior happening, possibly. And in that case, the quality of that experience is horrible. I mean, sure, addiction's always like that. So, yeah, the quality of that, again, addiction can be like, oh, it's so exhilarating in it, but it's so sticky and entrapping and feels horrible and yucky, and often just is a complete energy drain. So, yeah, what is the, it's like empty promises, right? Oh, this will make you feel good or happy, and yet it's soul-sucking and draining. So, yeah, that's kind of the worst case scenario for late night screen usage. And the, best case scenario, I don't know if there's a best case scenario, but, at best, one is sort of just wasting time, or doing something mindlessly and possibly digging into their sleep a little bit. So, yeah, again, I just thought there was a fascinating connection between what could the implications be for not having an established rhythm for our bodies, and how that might also impact the way in which the rhythm in which we engage with light and darkness in general, and how much awareness we may have. Because if it's kind of like, I think about the disorientation of thinking it was a different time, right? Or like, oh, I thought it was this day, and it's actually this day, and how you may end up not getting to do the things that you had planned to do or wanted to do or had set your mind to do because of that confusion and how disruptive that can be. And so that I think it does match or mirror into the metaphysical realm of the confusion with light and darkness. And it may simply, it may be that cleaning up, if you will, or re-patterning one's rhythm or circadian rhythm with the light, the sunrise, and the dark that comes at night, the light of the day, exposure, being in the condition of it, being outside, could possibly actually clean up a lot of that spiritual, I don't know, it's again a working theory, could possibly help at least aid a person in their clarity to deal with the spiritual or metaphysical light and darkness that one would have to contend with and be discerning about. And I was going to also say that it's interesting how it's funny how hard simple things are. And I was thinking about this because I wrote this post about spider webs being like stories, and I think I'm going to go back and add some thoughts to that. But it's funny how the ease, I like this term that I've heard from the village sessions, easeful. The easeful things can sometimes be the hardest things. Like the simple things can be quite hard because we're doing something differently, and that's always, our brain seeks the path of least resistance, and so to do something differently just can feel so hard, even though the thing in itself is not a difficult thing to do. It's just doing it that feels difficult, and it can sometimes even feel impossible. And so I talked about webs can be easefully reconfigured, but honestly that often feels like, it depends on how deep a pattern is, but sometimes I can feel like literal torture to have to ease fully. It'll get there. It will get to the ease fully, but at first it's certainly not easy. It's not easy at all, but it's ease. It's fully in the ease of doing something simple, but the doing it is actually really, really hard. Like I said, it can even feel like torture to reconfigure a web, right? A story, to reconfigure what you're doing and how you are relating to sources of light. It's really can feel really hard. And so, it's not, I think also us as what people might call moderns, I think anyone could feel the challenge of having to intentionally cooperate, I think, with nature's timing. It's not easy. In a sense, again, like I said, it's not easy for anyone because we've for a long time and for good reason, right? Have overridden it. And also there can be still the thoughts of does it really matter? Maybe it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. And again, I think somebody may ultimately make that decision, but I think there should at least be the conscious awareness of there are certain patterns that one is choosing over another or creating over another with the quote unquote unchosen, even though they are chosen habits, like the things you don't question that you think, well, that's just fine, or that's just how everybody does it today, or this is more comfortable, blah blah blah, right? Or this is more easy, when there could be something that's easeful, right? It's full, it's abundant, and there's an ease to it, but it does come from the work and the effort, or I want to say the recognition, and then the rehabiting, which again can be like work in a sense, but it's almost like doing some effort so that you can reap the benefits of the ease of that effort. So yeah, but again, as humans, we get pretty, we get pretty fixed with things sometimes, and it's not always easy to shake those up. And somebody may not choose to shake them up, is what I'm saying. They may not even choose to want to become conscious about those habits and patterns. And one may say that's not even really a choice. So you could choose to have it not be a choice, but I think it is, for me, in my perspective, helpful to get curious and helpful to see our own capacity in terms of what choices we can make. So that's my reflection. Thank you guys, and thanks for listening. Hope you have a good day.